Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Variety Sports Network. I am Darren Brierless. We had to make some changes, some scheduling conflicts right at the last second, benefits, and I guess hindrances of being the wrestling coach that I am. We have our regional tournament coming up this weekend in Colorado, and I have to go to Grand Junction tomorrow, which is 4 hours away from where I live. That's a little bit too in depth, but I'm kind of filibustering and rambling to make a little bit of extra time. Nobody's joining me. It is going to be a solo endeavor. We're going to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. I took Philadelphia because if you watch the show after you subscribe to the Variety Sports Network, or if you check out the Far End of the Bench or Fat Boy Fadeaway or the 5-hole or the Fast Break or the 7th inning stretch, like I am serious when I'm telling you this is as close to network that I've worked on since I've been in college, and that was a live radio station where we had dedicated airtime paid for. The Variety Sports Network is hot right now. When NASCAR season comes back, Josh will have his NASCAR show, Next Left Turn. Like, there's anything that you could want. We have team-centered shows, Monsters of the Midway, Steel City Blitz. Everybody is just, working their ass off. I want to give the boys on the network a shout-out. I want to give my co-host Darren a shout-out. He deserves one because he's dealing with this a whole situation before the biggest weekend of the NFL year. All right. Eagles prediction for Super Bowl 59. Come join. Bang. Bang. Get a little Mike Brain action going. Boom, 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 boom. Now I got something to post for everywhere. Be sure to follow at Variety_Sports, and be sure to follow at FEOTB Pod as well as at Fatboy Fadeaway for all of the channels. Normally, we come at you. Pause. Excuse me. I should probably figure out a new way to word that. Normally, we are live directly after or right before the second half of the Sunday Night Football game is getting ready to get started, and then we kind of go through the third quarter. A couple times this season, we got to witness some major comebacks, which was pretty cool. I appreciate all the time that we were able to spend, and I appreciate the following and the people that continue to come back and put us not necessarily first. I don't think we're first on anybody's list, but we're working our way up there. I mean, 721 subscribers. You could be 722, and then maybe I can start trying to talk Brandon into doing some sort of giveaway deal with one of our sponsors. Be sure to check out all of our pages and leave a like, everything like that. All right, what do we got here? We already got people jumping in. There we go. Go Eagles. Go Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly on the road to victory. I have the Sylvester. I put wrong hand. Sylvester Stallone has been watching over our shoulder all season here on Talking the Gridiron. So it is only right that I get to tie the greatest underdog story in sports cinema into what we have coming up on Sunday. Eagles, NFC champions, 2 times that they've made it to this situation under their head coach, Nick Sirianni, whatever we want to say. I know for myself, I'll just speak for my own record, my own knowledge. I've been on big record saying that Nick Sirianni has no idea what he's doing and is a glorified cheerleader and it's everybody else. Well, he has really good people around him. So we're going to talk about those people, players on the field that I think will have the most impact and strategies of how you beat Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and the Kansas City Chiefs, plus this Chiefs defense. I think Steve Spagnuolo right now is, I'm sure Darren will talk about him. Just to give my quick, this will be the only time that we're talking about Chiefs. And then Birds fans, I swear to God, we're going to talk about your Birds. We're going to get Philly rolling. But I think that it's underrated what Spagnuolo brings to this team, and Andy Reid on the offensive side too. The coaching staff knows when to call plays and what plays to call. It is not left up to chance. They put really good players or sometimes kind of mediocre, average players in situations to win, and most of the time that's exactly what ends up happening. Get off of that. I don't want to. I hate talking about who. The Philadelphia Eagles this season, NFC East champions, on their season that got us here. They started in Brazil with a win over the Packers, lost to the Falcons week 2. Kind of a strange situation. That was the Saquon drop. Everybody was up in arms thinking that was the biggest bust move of the offseason, and nobody had jumped down the Giants' throat by that point. Then you rattle off a 3-point win at the Saints, lose to the Bucks in kind of embarrassing fashion. But from that point on, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 victories behind Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts obviously gets banged up in the second Commanders game, the one that they ended up winning in Virginia, Washington. I don't know why I had a brain fart there. And then obviously finish the season on 2 straight wins with your backups, secure the number 2 seed because the Lions and the Vikings were in position to get the number 1 seed, and throughout the playoffs have looked to elevate themselves to not just a contender. I mean, I think that we can tell. We should get this out of the way because we're a sports podcast that's talking about this matchup. Having the same exact matchup does get a little bit tired, but this is not the same team that we saw 2 seasons ago. This is not the same team that was in this organization last season. You don't have Jason Kelce. You have Kellen Moore. You have guys that are now taking a little bit more ownership. You have Saquon Barkley. Devontae Smith has A.J. Brown in his book club on the sideline. This is a team that's been taking the last 2 seasons since that Super Bowl loss in 57 to get themselves better and fill whatever holes that they didn't really have, but now they've gotten them filled. Through the playoffs, beat the Packers in the wild card round 22-10, Rams in the snow 28-22, and then dropped a double nickel on the Commanders 55-23. I think talking about the regular season, it's not necessarily new that teams struggle, especially early on. You have to build up a rhythm, build up momentum. You don't just have it right away. It's something that comes with time, and it's something that comes with reps. And nobody plays their guys enough in the preseason to have those reps. So I think Jalen Hurts, he's still finding his way of how he's going to be a leader. In college, everybody he was the most mature. Now he's not necessarily the most mature. He is still a very solid veteran presence as a young player, but he is kind of figuring it out. And I think it goes to, I'm going to focus on the NFC Championship because Darren and I weren't able to have a show to discuss that game. When he throws the touchdown pass and he's mic'd up and it's just, that's what I do. That is what I do. That's the difference. You get beat in that moment. You lose in a Legends final performance. You lose to a team that seems to be establishing that they are never going to not finish before a conference championship round ever with this guy that they have at quarterback. Everybody called you out for the way that you build teams, and all you've done so far this season is take every learning experience, everything that you could have possibly tried to better yourself and improve yourself, and that's exactly what we have now. That's what we have accomplished. I think looking at, if I'm going to pinpoint if I'm going to take away the outlier games, I'll drop the Buccaneers loss as their outlier loss. I think that Falcons loss was more mental mistakes. They could have avoided it, but the Buccaneers, they just kind of whooped your ass. And that means that you really only had to face 2 real big adverse moments. You have a 2,000-yard rusher in your backfield. Jalen Hurts almost threw for 3,000 yards. Your defense will give you opportunities. This Chiefs offensive line will not be able to hold up against Jalen Carter and the guys that they have rushing the passer. I would say even more confidently that the defense would be better if you weren't relying on the vanilla milkshakes at the safety position and the corner position with Cooper DeJean and Blankenship. They're just young. I think that they can get possibly exploited by Andy Reid and his play calling. And it's always scary. There's going to be somebody or one play. It's one play. That's all it really is. And every single Super Bowl, how have the Chiefs been able to go down double digits and come back? At some point, there's a team that's going to have built themselves to a level where that can't be possible. And are the Eagles that team this year? I think they are. This is where I'm going to start tying my man Rocky in here. So, first movie, you have a disheveled, older, grizzled, a team that's, I guess, had a little bit more success than Rocky, but you're basically at your leg breaker stage. You bully your way with a new head coach into the Super Bowl situation, and you're playing Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs, two-time champions at this point, not back to back, just two Super Bowls. At least had been to two Super Bowls and winning buku division and conference championships. They have all the status. They are Apollo Creed. They are able to weather your storm. For all intents and purposes, they weathered your storm. They got the final victory on the judges' scorecards. It was a 3-point loss in Super Bowl 57, and damn if that ain't just ugh. And the Eagles, after that, went on a little bit of a run. Let's not forget, they were 10-0 the season following in Jason Kelsey's last year. And it's just not what you're here for. You can't take the fighter out of the person and expect to have the same person. And they smelled their success, thought it was inevitable. They were just going to be able to go back and handle business. And they got punked. They got punked in the wild card round as a team that was the higher seed. They got beat on the road. And now it's redemption. It's time. It's the time to finish the end of Rocky 2. You have gotten yourself back up on the mat. You went back and trained harder. You had if you know Rocky 2, you had the baby. Adrian had the baby. She's healthy. She's safe. Let's go back to training. Well, what are we waiting for? I think that this team, if all things come up heads, if all things go perfectly, nobody steps on a sunflower seed and blows up their knee. No, the lights don't go out. Halftime show doesn't get extended super long. Anything that goes off schedule, it feels like Philadelphia is going to struggle a little bit more dealing with because of the coaching that you don't have from the head coach in Nick Sirianni. But if it is a straight up 1-for-1 slugfest, meet me in the alley, I'm going to throw my best shot, you're going to throw your best shot, and whoever falls first loses, that favors the Philadelphia Eagles. That favors that offensive line that's going to hammer away. Yeah, you have Chris Jones. They got Dickerson. They got Becton. They got Juergens. They got Mailata. They got Lane Johnson. They got extra linemen. They have Jeff Stoutland, who is the greatest offensive line coach currently in the NFL. I don't care what anybody says. He is the greatest one that has that job right now in the league. They are just stay on the field. Don't make mistakes. Don't let the moment get too big. I don't know what's going to happen with Saquon. Normally, when Saquon gets thrust into a big moment for the first time, we see him go absolutely apeshit and go off. Most impactful players, I will say, for the Philadelphia Eagles, you are going to need to rely on the fact that your tackles are two of the best to do it right now at their positions. Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson would have been Pro Bowlers. I believe they're going to be, at least one of them will be second team. The other one will be a first team All-Pro because they don't split right and left tackle. But those two, talk about being in a security blanket if I'm Jalen Hurts. I think that's awesome for their situation. Seems like they're both healthy going into it. They're not the part of the offensive line that's struggling. The interior gives you a little bit of pause because Landon Dickerson is a tough son bitch, and he's going to play through a lot. But if he's playing through something that's too much, it's not going to be to anybody's benefit. And Cam Juergens has apparently not been able to practice for about 5 weeks and just sits on a Bosa ball until it's game day. And I mean, I've been there as watching the veteran guy that has to get his hip sewn back on before every single day you go out to practice. I know that means this guy wants it, and he wants it more bad, and he wants it more than anything. If the interior can just hold up and you get that extra week of rest, and there's still a lot of this team that knows how to handle this week. I don't think that's one good thing about having a rematch from within 5 years is there's enough of both of these rosters and coaching staffs and organizations. They're not guessing anymore of what their Super Bowl routine is going to be. We're going to basically get just a neutral site NFL game in New Orleans, which is always wild with what happens in their championship games. That is the dome where the lights did go out in 2012 with the Ravens and the 49ers. Other guys that are X factors, Saquon Barkley goes without saying. Just give him. I remember that old Gale Sayers clip that they have in NFL films. Just give me 18 inches of daylight. That's all I need. He's calling Jalen Hurts his house calls before he even hands him off the ball. Jalen Hurts just don't turn the ball over. Don't go too far away from throwing the football because you're afraid of what's going to happen. You do, I would say, if you throw for 225 to 255 with maybe one touchdown and 0 interceptions, that is probably all you really want, realistically, Jalen Hurts to do. Otherwise, you're going to be in overtime or you're going to be in a shootout with Patrick Mahomes, and this team is not built for a shootout. You have explosive players. Don't get me wrong. You have the explosivity to score on any time one of these players touches a football. But you are not going to be – I mean, it's not like you scored 70 points a game. You're not Chip Kelly. You're not running at lightning speed. You are much more of a grinded out. Like, I call Saquon Barkley a closer. That's what I call him over on the far end of the bench. And as a closer, you need to set it up. It's a heavyweight title fight. You're not going to knock somebody out in the first round. So don't be discouraged. I think that the Chiefs, more than anything, are going to try and get in and get on the scoreboard early because they don't want to go down again. That's all the narrative is. And then the narrative about the referees and the officials and the help is also going to continue to get pushed. And I'm not one to believe in that theory. I just understand the situation that exacerbates those theories. And when they go down as much as they do, yet they're able to come back because these teams just blow it. Let's get down to it. They blow it. And I don't want to see that happen. I want this game to, whichever way it goes, I'm not going to give away my pick yet. Whichever way this game goes, I want it to be solid. That's the champion. There is no tomfoolery. There is no random phantom defensive pass interference, offensive pass interference. Let's just let the boys figure it out on the field. It's the way that it should be. I feel like the Pro Bowl, it just lets such a bad taste in everybody's mouth. We need to have this be a very competitive game, and I think we're going to get that. And I also would like to see this just be decided between the white lines, between the whistles. Nobody gets hurt. I don't want to see any injuries. I like seeing people hit, but keep everybody safe, keep everybody in the game, and defensively, Jalen Carter just has to. This could be his moment to emerge. There is not necessarily a premier interior defensive tackle in the league now that Aaron Donald is no longer in. And this is his chance to solidify, go up even further. The pass rush is great. If they had Nakobe Dean, I'd feel a little bit better. But hey, as long as this team plays together, as long as Nick Sirianni gets them motivated and they don't let anything get out in front of them, just stay in the pocket. I don't think this Chiefs team is good enough to blow the Eagles out in the Super Bowl. I don't necessarily know if we're going to get a blowout from the Eagles, but I think that the Eagles of the two teams would be the more likely because I think that they're just a little bit more talented and they're maybe a little bit more healthy. But you do have to watch out for the Chris Joneses. You have to watch out for the Karloftises. Spagnuolo sends his safeties in his corners, and he knows how to read your checks, and he'll flip blitzes. He'll do all of those kinds of things. When you're making the adjustments at halftime, let's talk real quickly. Get off of football for a second because there might be somebody tuning into the Variety Sports Network for something other than sports. I don't know, but I do have to cater to all sides. Welcome. If you're here for the first time, make sure subscribe button down here as you're going to be watching it. I think I have no clue. We'll see if I'm right, but I would like you to hit the subscribe button. And we're talking about the halftime show, Kendrick Lamar. I believe the props that I saw for the halftime show when we did it on the far end of the bench, which you can listen to, it'll be available directly after this live stream is over. I got a little bit behind editing, but I have everything all ready to go. It'll be uploaded then. It was 10 and a half songs. So is he going to play snippets from more or less than 10 and a half songs? And is he going to bring more than just SZA out as a guest? I think yes to both of those things. I made the joke that he's going to play Not Like Us 6 times. I think that we'll get a Not Like Us at least snippet. But he's got so many different songs that he can go through. And he's basically been locker room pump up playlist guy. You always have at least one or two Kendrick songs, whether it's Humble, whether it's DNA, whether it's Mad City. I mean, he's spanned so long, and now with his new stuff, it's all still great. I love the GNX album. I'm a big Kendrick fan at the moment. Ever since the beef, I'm not going to sit here and lie to everybody and say that I was before, but since the beef, hell yeah, I've been getting into that stuff, and I think this will be a great, very entertaining Super Bowl halftime show. The only thing that I'm not really looking forward to, because they haven't been good, or at least in my mind, they haven't been good, and you guys should let me know, all-time favorite Super Bowl commercial, because I'm sure I'm going to be watching that special that they play every year, once again with my family. But what is your favorite all-time Super Bowl commercial? I think mine was the little boy tricking the guy into giving him his Doritos, and he's in the time machine, and he runs away. I don't know. For whatever reason, that spoke to me. Kendrick Lamar, halftime performance. Let's talk about what I expect to see from Philadelphia. Run the football, establish line of scrimmage. You know who you are, and stay with who you are. Don't get fancy. Don't get, like I said, don't let anything get too big for you, because if you start being timid and not taking risks now, that's where you put yourself in an even more vulnerable situation. Because one thing I do know is that Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs will play their game as clean of a football game as they will play, as little of an opening as they will give you themselves. You will have to create everything, and by doing that, you need to just, you go for it on fourth down. You are a running football team. You don't need to throw it 55 times, but Jalen Hurts can throw it. And especially if we use these RPO games and make people worry about his legs, keep him healthy, you have more than enough of an opportunity to win this game. I have no doubt in my mind right now that the Eagles could very easily walk away with at least a touchdown victory. The X factor that it goes against it, and it's a big damn X factor. Patrick Mahomes. I said it. His career lowest right now is losing the AFC Championship game, and he lost that AFC Championship game to Tom Brady and Joe Burrow. I sound like I'm going to cry because I don't know. I've never did I ever expect. I mean, I lived through a majority of Brady. I was alive for all of Brady's career, but I wasn't as big of a fan. And then I got into it, and Brady was the evil empire, and it continued all the way through my college years. So I watched Brady. I didn't think that it was going to be right afterward, and I didn't think that Patrick Mahomes, of all people, when I first saw him, because I watched his first start, he was playing in Denver. As the Chiefs were taking us on is last game of the season, and they had locked up the 1 seed. And this was Andy Reid showing everybody what the fuck they were in for the next decade and a half, maybe 25 years. Who the hell knows? It seems like he's made out of rubber bones. I did not. It was good. I expected them to still continue to be talented, but what he's able to do, the miracle plays. As somebody who is going to sit here and say that they like Joe Burrow and I prefer to have Joe Burrow, I will not be one to lie to everybody and sit here and say I don't think that Patrick Mahomes is on his way to being the GOAT. I think that if he gets the three-peat, he is much closer than he would have been if this was just number 4 that he was going for, or number 3. Brady never did it. He almost did. Eagles stopped him the last time. So can the Eagles do that 2 times in their franchise's history? This would also be your second Super Bowl championship. Your fan base wants it. If it doesn't happen, I think that there's going to be some seismic shifts coming out of Philly. I think that this will have long-lasting impacts. We'll see people moved. A.J. Brown, I think if they lose, or maybe even if he doesn't get all that many targets, he's going to be starting to wear out his welcome a little bit. As much as everybody knows he's talented and he's definitely the number 1 option in Philadelphia, I think that right now you're on edge. You're a little bit worried because it can go really good. You know how bad it sucks to lose to this team. And it's fresh. I still don't think those wounds have healed from 2 years ago, especially not because you didn't win a single playoff game last year, the year after that you lost that Super Bowl. So you finally feel like you're back on track, and you have to face the same damn bully. He kicked your head in the last time. at the very end, I will say, you fought like hell. You gave him everything that he wanted, but he got the upper hand. He kicked your head in. He has no problem going to the mat again. I think that this Kansas City Chiefs team will give the Philadelphia Eagles their best game and vice versa, and I am so damn excited. I'm getting back early, either late Saturday night or early Sunday morning. Depends on when we're able to leave and when my ride would like to leave. I do want to give a very quick shout out. My Castleview High School. We're going to Grand Junction to wrestle in our regional. If you make top 4 at this tournament, you qualify for state, which is held downtown. The Avalanche and the Nuggets go out of town next week so that we have Ball Arena for the Colorado High School State Championship Wrestling Tournament. And I'm hoping that we get a bunch of wrestlers. I need all of the good vibes, all of the good energy. It's been a lot of work. These kids have busted their ass since basically November is when preseason practices started. So it's been a lot of work. There's a lot of competition. There's a lot of good feelings in the room right now that we would love to have piled on. So think of Castleview Wrestling. You can follow them at Castleview Boys Wrestling and at Castleview Girls Wrestling. The girls in our inaugural season undefeated at Castleview High School, and they are going out to Pooter way up north in Colorado at their regional tournament. Again, same thing. Top 4, go to the state tournament, wrestle downtown. I am looking forward to it. Taking a day off of school. I got a paid day off of school for it, so I'm excited. Last thing I will leave you with, my final score and winner predictions. I believe I went with the Chiefs. I said I reserved the right to change my answer, but do I change my answer? That's my question. I have no clue what I should do. I would like people, if you quickly comment in, if you want to drop stuff in the chat, if you tell us what you think I should do. I've tried to mush it. I haven't mushed it. I'm beating Nico's ass in our playoff pick'em. I got my ass kicked in the regular season, but I know playoff games. I don't know. I feel like if I say something now, then it probably is going to go poorly. So I will stick with the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm not going to be the reason that the Eagles hate me. I think, like I said, good a chance as any. And I hope to God we get a badass game out of this because it could be so amazing for everything that we would have coming up. I'm excited. Be sure to follow us at Variety_Sports, at FEOTB Pod, at Fatboy Fadeaway. Subscribe to all of our YouTube channels. Tomorrow, Darren Breyer, my normal co-host, will be back, and he is going to be looking at things from a Kansas City perspective. I decided to torture him. I said, I'll take Philly because I got Rocky. You're an AFC West guy. You talk about the Chiefs. You say really nice things about the Chiefs. So Philly fans, don't tune in tomorrow. Or do, because I know you guys like to get yourselves pissed off. So maybe tune in, and maybe it'll go correctly. I think that it'll be a lot of fun. I love everybody that joins us along this road, this channel. I love working with all these guys. I shouted them out earlier, but Brandon, Darren, Nico, Tyler, Josh, I'm not going to continue, Jordan, all the guys, whether you worked there, whether you continued, Terrell, another guy that we met through this process. It's been nothing but a dream, because even if not a ton of people listen, some people listen, and that's all that it really matters. So in the end, thank you very much. Please subscribe, follow the channels, leave likes on the videos, comment on the videos. We'll all interact with everybody. I really hope that we get a good game on Sunday. My final prediction, Chiefs 27, Eagles 21. They just can't get anything in the fourth quarter. I think that the Chiefs will go in total shutdown mode. So I'm sorry, Eagles fans. I built you up. I brought you in. I made you feel comfortable, and I stabbed you in the heart. Et tu, Brute? Yes, me too, Brutus. And with that, this has been a special Talkin' the Gridiron Super Bowl 59 preview for the Philadelphia Eagles. My name is Jimmy Pilato. For myself and my normal co-host, Darren Breyer, and the rest of the people at Variety Sports Network, we will see you guys tomorrow night.